You're listening to The Disc Golf Show.
And it's time for the Disc Golf Show on November, right? The 19th, 2024. This is episode number 24, as my voice is like, nope, not doing it. Not doing right in the middle of there. Thanks, voice. I appreciate it. My name is Justin, and this guy with me that's somewhere around here
is Nick. That's me.
That's right. That's right. Oh, you even put it in the is. I like that. Good touch, because I didn't put it in there, but you were grammatically correct.
I'm on it.
And the inner AP English student in myself appreciates that.
I'm glad somebody does.
My teacher would have given you an A plus. A plus. This episode, along with, well, pretty much most of the others, and probably for the foreseeable future, all of those too, is brought to you in part by Final Nine Sports with their two locations, one in Orangeville, one in Rockland. And if you're not close to us and can't support them, then you should support your local shop, because that's what it's about. Buy online and we'll find you. Just kidding. Sometimes you have to, but support local. That's the message. Anyways, let's jump into the show, shall we, Nick?
Yeah. First things first, we'll get some quick stuff out of the way. Mystery box season is back.
Yes.
A few of them have been announced. Always
I've purchased all of them already.
Jeez. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I have not.
So,
but I want to.
Yeah, I would like to as well, except for they're not cheap.
No, they're not.
But the first one, as always, is Discmania. Now, it's always been called the Discmania Mystery Box, right? Back with, when it started way back with Simon and Eagle and all that. This year, they put a twist on it.
Right.
And it's called the Discmania Mystery Bistro Box.
Right, because it has food in it.
I don't think it has food. Oh, could have a piece of candy. So technically.
Could. Or maybe they're thinking of the Clash line where they're all like food names, popcorn, and now it's bistro because it's going to be nothing but Clash discs. Heard it here first.
In
in the Discmania box.
So
they're like, nope,
is,
not going to be that.
If you've seen the video, the little ad for it, it looks like they're at, like Gannon and Ella, and they're like a Italian Italian food restaurant. I'm curious as to what it's going to look like, because people are going to start posting their videos once they get them. But yes. I think all these technically are like pre-order right now.
I think we should scratch that. I think you should, if we hit a certain number of subscribers, show a video of you eating open the box.
Eating open,
however you want to do it. Knife, fork, barbarian style.
I'll do that.
Okay.
Down.
All right.
We reach what's our 1,500?
Yeah, I'm saying 1,500 or like 3 likes and you do it.
What? No. Let's not do 3 likes. Let's calm down there.
I really want to see you do this.
So Discmania is the main one. That
one
every year,
one
right?
thumbs up.
One thumbs
and he'll
up.
do it.
One thumbs up.
One.
Another couple that I've found were the Disc Golf United 2024 USDGC mystery box. So that's Disc Golf United is a Innova website, and so they have a 2024 USDGC box. The third one that I found is, and there's plenty of other smaller boxes. These are kind of like the larger boxes. I think you get probably closer to, I'm going to say, at least 8 discs.
It's all about size with you, isn't
10.
it?
Yes. Is the 2024 Gyropalooza box.
Europalooza?
But however you want to pronounce it. That's up to you.
It's probably not that way. We're just into food, and now I'm like Euro. Yeah.
That's MVP, Axiom, and Streamline. Currently, so here's the thing. Here are the prices. Discmania is priced currently at $99. That's kind of where it's been over the years. The USDGC mystery box currently at $125 pre-order, and the Gyropalooza box is $130. But if you are looking to get that one right now at Infinite Discs, they have it posted for $120 on pre-order, so you can save $10 there.
Wait, on Infinite Discs?
InfiniteDiscs.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you are interested, let us know which one you are looking to get. If there's one specifically you like most and why.
It's kind of like
throw it in the comments.
gas
below.
prices and inflation over the years is how those are priced. How you organize them. I like it.
Higher. Yeah. Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
Another option that you could do is, and this is the 5th year for them, but Trash Panda is putting on their holiday disc exchange. So if you go to their website, trashpandadiscgolf.com/pages/holiday-disc-swap, they do a thing where, and again, like I said, this is their 5th year. They do a thing where you sign up, you give a disc, and you get a disc. And this year, there's several sponsors of this promotion, this event. And when you sign up and do these things, you actually have a chance at winning some of the items that are donated from some of these companies. One of them, just a few that are on here, and you can actually go on the website and you can see all the prizes that are going to be available. Obviously, a lot of discs. There's some Vessi shoes on there. Pound bag. You could win a pound bag. You could win Heiser racks, which are those wood racks that are made that kind of stick together, and then you can stack your discs on them. They have a DGPT. I think the biggest prize is a package from DGPT, and it comes with tickets. I think after everything, it's like $1,000 worth of stuff. So the you could win some cool stuff.
Yeah, one tank of gas.
Yeah.
Worth of prizes.
Yeah.
If you're in California.
The one thing here is you guys do have a limited amount of time. It does close on November 22nd. So Friday. This Friday. And it's 5 p.m. Mountain Time. So if you do want to try that, like I said, you just go on their website, sign up, give a disc, get a disc. And one of those things, too, is they say you give at least one disc. And I've seen in the past where you'll get people show up and they'll have 2 or 3 discs that people just, send off to them. So it's kind of neat if you have something that maybe you've slightly used, but it's still in great condition. Pass it on to somebody else if you're not using it. So another cool item that I came across recently was from a company called Death Trap Disc Golf. Go to their website. It's easier to look at this thing than it is for me to explain it, but I'll try really quick here. It's an indoor wooden basket, but it's super neat, well built, quieter than your chains. You can mount it in the corner. It's cool. Just go on their website, deathtrapdiscgolf.com, and let us know what you think of it, if it's something that you'd like. I know I forget how much they're charging for it right now, but I want to say it's like
$189.
Okay, yeah, I knew it was 100 and something. So,
and that's just for the part that attaches to like the wall, and then if you want the stand to put it on, they sell that for another $22.
Separate, yeah.
At the time of this recording.
But it is a really neat product. I like seeing these new things that are out of the box, because that could easily spur somebody else to create something similar or better or just different. So go check them out, deathtrapdiscgolf.com. Okay, so let's move on to this really quick.
All right.
Prodigy Discs.
In the news again.
Recently posted a blog. I'm going to tell you this. Go check them out. Go to their website, look on their blog, and read their most recent. I don't think they've posted one since this.
If you're on the YouTubes, the links will be down below.
Yeah. They have addressed the issues that a lot of people talk about with Prodigy is their flashing. So they're stating that they're addressing that issue that has been brought up over the years, many years, as well as in this blog, you'll see discs that they're announcing as retiring, in addition to discs that will be coming out. So it's kind of a neat overall update moving into 2025 as to what Prodigy is concentrating on. I do like the fact that they're actually kind of copping up to it and addressing the issue, because though from what I've heard, certain types of plastics don't have that problem, but I've definitely held some Prodigy discs that have like razor blade flashing still on that inner lip on the bottom side.
Yep.
So I'm glad that they are seemingly trying to do something about it. But we'll know more. We'll know more in the future. Hopefully it just gets better. Because I hate to see that. They've been around a long time. They sponsored a lot of people over the years. But it's tough with established business like that, where you can make good products.
Absolutely.
I've seen good products come from you. But when it's too often, and it's not 100%, it's not 50%, but 20% is too much. Like,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, just trim
absolutely.
that flashing. You should be able to. That should be a necessity when creating and marketing and selling those.
It comes down to probably their process and QA, right?
Yeah.
And it at least relates in my mind a little bit to, you know, Toyota and how they went through a whole process of manufacturing and figured out, hey, there's this whole thing about the defect doesn't happen that often, right? This doesn't slip through that often, but it's often enough to be not only a financial, which is, let's be honest, that's the real concern, but also that goes out to the customer, and that's not a good rating, right? And they developed, you know, Lean Six Sigma and all this kind of stuff. And that's, I think, the process that Prodigy is kind of talking about here, or at least what they need to go through is tightening up that efficiency and making sure that down to the smallest percentage they can, they fix that. And I hope to see it. I hope to see it.
Yeah.
We will see.
I don't carry a lot of Prodigy, but I do carry a Prodigy. Shout out to Dean.
Yeah, you have a disc that is a workhorse in your bag.
I tend to throw that. I realize I throw that a lot more than I thought I do.
Oh, yeah.
A lot more. Anyways, so hopefully we see good things coming from Prodigy moving into 2025. We did touch on this last show, but one of our favorite channels.
Yes. Discgolf.law. And really, I wanted to bring this up because I kind of misspoke because I didn't understand. But hey, that's where Discgolf.law comes in. You learn, right? And it was about the trademark issue between MVP and Essential Discs and the balance. And I always thought that you can't trademark a name, like a common name, right? Like balance, or I'm gonna trademark the, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's a little bit more nuanced than that, and I highly recommend you go to their Disc Golf YouTube channel, discgolf.law, or check out the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, right? If you're listening to this one, you can probably figure that out, and really listen to that episode because he breaks it down so well. And really, it's one of those things where I should have known better, right? Because, and as he points out in his video, there's a reason why lawyers, you know, in law school, they have a whole huge section of their curriculum dedicated to copyright law, right? And all of these things, because it's so nuanced. This is one of those cases. It's very nuanced. And I guess I can see from a technical, you know, kind of like a technicality, a certain point of view, if you will, where there could be a little bit of confusion, right? If you have somebody that's brand new to disc golf and they're looking at the balance, they're probably not going to be able to tell the difference between an Essential Discs and an MVP, right? So I could see an argument for that. And I think legally there is an argument for that. That's why the whole conversation is kind of going on. Watch his video kind of for more details on that. But I did want to bring that up because last episode we kind of misspoke out of ignorance of how that all works. So what we're saying is we're not lawyers on this show. Go check out discgolf.law because he is.
Yeah, exactly.
They can break it down better for you and probably correctly. But interesting. It's very, very interesting. Interesting.
So before we move on, do us a quick favor. Click the subscribe.
Absolutely. Costs you nothing. You can unsubscribe later if you want.
Exactly.
We'll find you. But you could.
You could.
You could.
Hey, if you subscribe, you might win something in the future. So
that's coming up here soon.
So we have another, adding on to the discgolf.law, his most recent video, because that was definitely a good one to watch. Let me clarify. All of his videos are good to watch.
No, they're not. Some of them are terrible.
PDJ.
Just kidding. I've liked them all.
His most recent video is a update on PDJ rules that were suggested moving into 2025, and this is where they put out a feeler out to the public to see what the average registered PDGA disc golfer thinks about these rules. And he touched on a few of them. There's a bunch that have popped up over this update. But one of the things that was suggested was supplying disc golfers with a 60-second timeouts.
Yes.
Throughout their round. And apparently there was an overwhelming frustration or dislike for this thought. So they're going to be going back to the drawing board as to how they're going to address this or how they could possibly address it. I think it's going to be more data driven, but
it is one of those things too, where it's like, I don't know, is it completely necessary? It's one of those things, because I always argue on the side of let's speed the game up. And why? I know I've talked about this before, but bear with me, right? It's like baseball. Baseball's just taking longer, and people were not watching. Well, they changed some rules. Now the game's much quicker, and people came back in droves watching baseball. Why? Because it's consumable now. You can finish a game in a good amount of time, right? A little over maybe an hour, you can finish a baseball game, which was unheard of before. It was just taking longer and longer, right? So that is a mistake that I think disc golf can avoid, and making rules where they can take even more time out of the game for whatever reason, I don't think is the right direction to go, unless you can make a really good argument that it's for the safety of the player. Then I'm on board, but it better be a damn good argument. You know what I mean? Timeout multiplied across how many players do you have on a card, especially that you're trying to film, right? You're trying to get the lead card at least, but trying to fill in with that chase card, and now you have all of these opportunities for more timeout. Maybe not the way to go. I mean, there has to be space and time for commercials, and I get that, and there is, because they have to walk to each hole, but during the game timeouts, it better be a real good reason.
Well, as much as I don't like the extra amount of time being taken, there's only a very small percentage of people that are doing this, right?
Sure.
And I do believe that we should leave it up to the card as to decide whether it's egregious or not. Like, I don't think they understand. The players the professionals who play know best of all as to, okay, that's a really difficult stance they're going to have to take. It's tucked under a bush. We know that we'd want to be able to try to get the best stance and most secure, so you're not hurting yourself or what. So let them allow that person in those, let's be honest, rare instances in which it's a tough. Now, granted, if it's right in the fairway and you're walking up, there's nothing in your way, it shouldn't take you a crap load of time to be able to figure out what. Listen, I'm an am. I, walking up to my disc, pretty much know exactly what disc I'm going to throw. Walking up to it. So if it's out in the open, that shouldn't be an issue. But I've had it where I have a weird, funky stance, and I go, I got to go back to my bag because the way I angle, the way I'm twisted, it's not comfortable, so I'm going to have to throw a less stable disc to get it to turn more, whatever the instance is.
And I think
the players know best.
I don't think that we're seeing right now in disc golf rules like that being super enforced by somebody outside of your card. We really haven't seen that a lot. Sure, a couple times we see it. And even those instances are rare when an official's coming in and going, nope. Right? Yeah. Anybody remember a certain gentleman with the nickname of Cupcake?
Yep.
Were there officials there calling that? No.
Yeah.
So I don't think it happens a lot anyway. So I could see a future, though, where that is the case, where they're starting to crack down on that, and officials and TDs and tournaments are like, nope, time's up. Right? Mm-hmm. So I could see the argument for that there. And do you interfere with that versus just letting the card rule? But you have to have rules, right?
Yes.
Because if there's no line, there's no line. And then we get into that problem that I'm talking about where it's just everything's egregious and it takes forever. So
I think if it's
where do you draw the line?
If it's, let's say, so currently the time is 30 seconds, right? You address when you get to your disc, you're addressing your lie, you get 30 seconds. To me, if that happens, let's say they take 35 or 40 seconds 3 times in the round or 4 times in the round, I'm not going to care that much. I'm really not.
Right.
Now, if they take that 35 or 40 seconds every single throw, that's different because they're abusing that at that point.
Right.
You know what I mean? So to me, again, like I said, yes, there needs to be a line, but I think ultimately it's the players that have to enforce those. Granted, there are officials there. Officials should definitely be involved as to trying to do their best to keep things moving. That's their purpose. So there's no massive gap or no backup. I get that. But that's where they should come in and be more not aggressive, but assertive about it.
I think
if this like little add to the time is not affecting the overall round and speed, then leave it to the players. You know what I mean?
I think there's a line between, and ultimately I think what this all boils down to is disc golf, much like golf, is a gentleman's game, right? But there's a separation between casual play and professional play, especially and in my mind, I think about it televising this and getting more eyeballs on the sport and more people watching it and more involved, spread the word, right? And you have to have these rules and these lines, and the game is a little bit different inherently because it is that, right? Ultimately, what we're talking about is eyeballs and money. Yeah. And how do you maximize that to grow the sport, right? And that's cleaning it up and really figuring these things out. I mean, face it, we're kind of in the early days of this right now, and how it's structured and how these things are done and these rules are defined by the organization can really, I think, make or break how this moves forward. Yeah, right. Just coming from the viewer aspect of it. And I think a lot of times too, that these rules, since it is from the organization, they're blanket across everybody, and everybody kind of internalizes that as, well, the next time I'm in a tournament, this is what I'm going to be subject to. And I almost think there needs to be like a tier level of rules, if you will, right? Like, hey, for the professionals at this level on these tour tournaments, here's an extra set of rules that are on top of the regular baseline PDGA rules, which is what we're talking about, that speeds up the game for them. I think there almost needs to be a separation, right? And I know there'll be an argument between, well, no, everybody needs to play on the same. Yeah, I get that. Everybody on the tour needs to play on the same rules, and we need to speed that up because, right? It's kind of like the separation between, you know, college level or AAA, even level, AA level, whatever, sports, right? And I'm thinking baseball off the top of my head, right? There's a separation of rules and how they work because of the nature of what the game is, if that makes sense. And I almost think we need that delineation, that separation, but maybe that's too much. I don't know. And how do you organize that, and how do you manage? I don't know.
No, that makes sense because related to football, college to NFL. Sure.
There's differences.
The rules are very similar, but there are differences. Even on the field, the way the field is marked is different. So there are, yes, I think what I think you're leaning towards is DGPT has to have their own additional rules.
Yes.
Which I think is a great idea.
Right. And then that would separate.
You're a player. Yeah.
Yeah. That would separate these, at least in my mind. And I think in a lot of players' mind. Because I think of the tour, but I also think of myself when I'm playing the tournament, and that's really where the PDGA rules are going to affect the majority. Yeah, it's not the tour folks. I mean, you know, it's going to be us playing in the tournaments.
So I don't know if you saw this. I just saw a quick video about, and I think it was Drew Gibson that mentioned it. There was a video of this female professional golfer that was talking about how long rounds were taking, right? She stated that she's played at very difficult courses that take 3.5 hours. And one of the rounds she just played in this event took 5.5 hours. And she goes, this was her suggestion. It was funny because you're really pushing it. You're really trying to get your point across with this suggestion. Her suggestion was, you violate time 3 times, you lose your tour card.
Ooh, that's extreme.
That is, yeah. But when you think about it, 5.5 hour round, that's extreme as well.
Yeah.
Like your round of golf should not take 5.5 hours. I don't care. Classic golf, disc golf shouldn't be taking 5.5 hours.
No.
But yeah, that was interesting. Okay. Let's move on to another rule here that they touched on. TDs, and this has been an issue in the past. So for a long time, even if you're not a PDGA member, you can play in PDGA sanctioned events. You pay extra, right? And you choose the division in which you want to play, right? At that point, you don't have a rating. So the TD, they have to take your word for it, right? Well, what can that create? We hate this word. That can create sandbaggers, right? Baggers. They play in a division. They know that they can win. They're not a PDGA member, so there's no rating to verify that, right? Well, there's an update. So TDs will have the ability, if they know that player's level, right, to move them to a division in which they deem they should be in. So let's say you're a local disc golfer. You don't play in, you aren't registered with the PDGA, and you like playing in AM2, but your average round is 10 under at your local course. You're not going to be able to play in AM2. That TD can go, no, you're playing you should be playing pro, but you're moving to AM1. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be interesting how that works, because what happens when you're friends with the TD? Will that come into play? Will there be some grease there?
I think that ultimately allowing that option is the right way to move.
Yes.
How that plays out and what happens in the real world might be a different story.
Oh, yeah.
But at least the option is there. So if people are being honest.
Good. Yes.
Right? Or, I don't even want to get into that conversation, but at least the option is there. So that's
Let's
good.
Get into that. What were you going to say?
I was going to start going into honesty and
oh, geez,
well, really,
yeah,
are we?
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah.
I'm just not going to go there.
Yeah.
But I think having that option there is good.
I think it's good. Another one, we'll just hit one more, which is kind of good. It's kind of good, but interesting how this will play out as well, because spotters, an official can, or a TD can assign a spotter to have limited officiating ability. So basically, lost discs, they can state, nope, this is where it went out, or whatever it is. They can make those decisions on that hole depending on what they're told that they're allowed to do. Because currently, to be able to be an official, you have to pass an exam through the PDGA. It's a separate exam. And then you get your official's credentials, basically. If you're a TD, you have to have it. If you're a pro, you have to go through that process too. But the spotters will have the ability to make those calls, which I think is good for speeding up play, because then you're not questioning anything. The spotter goes, no, I'm official on this hole. This is where it is. So it'll make it a lot more cut and clear when I think discussing like where a disc went out or whatnot, simple situations like that. They won't be able to do everything across the board, but they'll have some, I don't want to say legal say, but they'll have some substantial say in rules and how things need to be abided But
I think that's good. And you can handle that really at the TD level there too, when you're picking out your flaggers and spotters or whatever. You could just have a quick little 5-minute with them, right? If they're unfamiliar for some reason with the game, I don't know why they'd be doing this, but let's just say they are. You have a quick little 5-minute with them. Hey, this is a couple basic terms. Here's what you're kind of looking for, and you can cover it that way. I think that's a good idea, and that way there's a little bit less for the card to have to, what's the right word, like debate over or decide, right? It's just spotter goes, hey, here's where it is, and everybody goes, cool, boss, and you move on, right?
Yep.
So that's good.
No less confusion.
Less confusion. Yeah.
Another thing, don't have on here, I did notice that Bill Nye the Science Guy, did you see this? He was on, and I don't know if you know this name. I vaguely know this name because I see the videos on stream on my threads and stuff like that that say his name. But Kai Cenat, I think that's his name, is a streamer that streams like all the time, everything. Bill Nye was on his stream, and he brought along some disc golf discs.
Some disc golf discs.
He's a massive streamer, so
yes,
there's just exposure there, which is neat. I just
awesome.
I thought that was cool. I did want to chat a bit about. I mentioned Drew Gibson earlier. Drew Gibson has recently made a post of, and I like his content.
I do too,
because he gives his opinion on a lot of those sit-down videos that he does, but he does do, fun content as well. He plays golf, so he goes out to the courses, and he did this recent one where he did a disc club hole, and I think this is good. He asked some ideas that people could give him and stuff like that. I think personally this is good because it brings in, or the possibility to bring in, disc or golfers into the sport, because he's out there on the course, on the golf course, and he's bringing discs with him out there. But my suggestion was, if he's able to get in touch with some known pro, ideally, but if not, well-known golfers, or what's the word I'm looking for? Just YouTubers, I guess, at that point.
Influencers?
People, there you go. Thank you very much. Thank you. To play around with him, or a short 9 or a couple holes, just to get them more familiar. I think with his background, I'm sure he has contacts that he could get some pro golfers.
There we go.
Which would be really cool.
So
Bubba
you've
Watson
heard it here
is
first.
A disc golfer.
You've heard it here first. Drew Gibson and James Charles on the next episode of Drew Gibson. I'm just kidding. That would be fantastic,
that
though.
Of influencer. That would be awesome. That would be great.
That'd be awesome, though. Why not?
But I think that's a good idea. I think just reaching out. Let's say you reach out again. Ultimately, it's a numbers game at this point. Reach out to 100 people. If you get a couple of them, that's a couple more than you'd had before, right?
Why not?
But I like the fact that he's combining these little clips that he posts with traditional golf as well as disc golf.
That's a cool idea. I like it.
That. I like
it.
I don't know what's going to happen now, right? But apparently I saw a clip stating that the 1 of 1 Decade of Dominance Brixton card was pulled. Not that that's bad, because there's plenty of cards out there. Personally, I would love to have a jersey or disc or signed Simon Lizotte card.
Well, yeah, of course.
That's kind of what I'm hoping for. But
I have his rookie card, actually. No, I don't.
But do you think that this has any effect on sales for the remainder hobby boxes that they have?
Yeah, it'll hit it a little bit.
I don't know. I don't know what they're. I think what was the full count? How many boxes did we? I think we talked about this. I think there was 18,000 boxes or something.
Yeah.
I forget what it was.
I think it'll hit it a little bit just because of the people that were going to buy it as collectors. Now that potential chance has gone of getting the 1-to-1, it's not as big of a push for them to get as many many boxes.
That's the one.
It's probably a small percent, right? Though. You know, that's probably like your whales anyways. So it'll affect it a little bit. How could it not? But I don't think significantly.
No, I still think they're great. It's a great product. I think the cards look awesome. But it was interesting. So if I'm wrong, let me know. But I swear I saw a clip stating that the 1-of-1 was pulled.
Somebody got the golden ticket.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? Okay, so this month's PDJ ratings update just happened, right? There's a little funky little issue, I guess.
A little kerfluffle.
Yeah, kerfluffle. Yeah. At the beginning of the day on that Tuesday, so November 12th was the update day, Chris and Tatar made a post stating another goal, right? Another record of 1,001 for her rating. And she's hit 1,000, but she dropped back down to 996, I think, something like that. But this bumps her back over 1,000 again, and it said 1,001. As well as Gannon Burr had 1,059 player rating. Then, within a couple hours, later that morning, both of them dropped one more point. So Kristen dropped back down to 1,000 and Burr down to 1,058 rating. I think it had to do with they had a certain event applied into it that shouldn't have been. And so when they removed it, it readjusted those ratings.
That could be, yeah. I just thought it was the Russian judge putting in their scores.
yeah, right, yeah. But it's interesting because this is I don't think that this has happened before, where they had an update and then they corrected that update the same day. I'm glad that they can do it that quickly, though.
No, that's really cool. Yeah.
That was kind of nice. All right. That was just an interesting thing that happened.
That's cool.
What are you going to do?
Somebody forgot to carry the one.
I'll tell you guys right now. Well, actually, mine changed, but it didn't adjust. So I played in a couple events, right?
You did.
One of them was PDJ sanctioned. One of them, mind you, I did play in. I forgot to say this last show. I played in Aces Wild, which is a local event. It's an Ace Run event for the Folsom Disc Golf Club. Really fun. I never go out there thinking anything. I just go out there to help, volunteer, and do whatnot. And then I end up playing around. Played around, and I won. I don't know how I won. I got lucky, guys. It's not going to happen again. Don't get mad at me. But it was really, really cool. It's first-time experience for me.
He's an AM1 player and everybody else is wreck. But
hey, no. Because
he beats me all the time.
All right. So the other event that I played was the cool down. So Justin and I had played the cool down warm ups.
Yes.
There were two of those. This was the A tier cool down, and I did not play well. It was windy, man.
Yeah.
The last day was ridiculous. But anyways, here and there, I didn't play that well. I didn't get last, which is good. I was stoked about that because this is A tiers. Well, A tiers are where, especially
every
A tiers, are where the the better players come out. Right? I don't care what division you're in, the ones who want those points, right? They come out and play these A tiers. So I was I was content with where I ended up. But what was interesting is I didn't play well. I thought my rating was going to drop, but it didn't. So what I think happened is when you get your rating, they drop off the bottom few rounds, and then to make it more realistic. Right. And I think the top round, I forget what it is, but they drop off the fluke rounds, basically. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so what I think they did is, even though I played not as good as my rating, those were better. than some of my other rounds that finally dropped off. I think that's what happened.
Gotcha.
But it bumped up, so I was stoked.
Nice.
With that.
Well, congrats.
What was I going to say? Oh, that
Not
was
sure.
ratings. Okay, so I don't know what you guys do during the off season. Yes, it's the freaking off season. Get over it. I don't know what you do during the off season, but Disc Golf Network still provides content, and I just want to do a shout out because I enjoy their content.
Right.
It's really building into a full on network. Like, we know that it's a network.
Right.
It's called the Disc Golf Network. But when you think about what it started out as, it was the tournaments, right?
Right.
And then they kind of had some skin stuff. They kind of had some weird things here and there. But there's actual now like series that come back every year, you know? Yeah. And then there's new ones that come, which is cool. A few of those that I just wanted to touch on. If you do not have Disc Golf Network, some of these things do end up coming onto their YouTube, I think a couple weeks after they come out on the network. But they have one that came back. It's called the Putting Game, which is cool. They find unique places to where they set up, 20 to 80 foot putts, really strange angles, stuff to cut through. One of them was at a paintball building. One of them was at not playground, but like a indoor bounce house type of a thing. They have a lot of different style. One of them was at a arena, like a basketball, like a concert arena. But that's back, which is fun. Another one that I really am enjoying is the interview series that Brian Earhart is producing, that he's doing.
I have yet to watch this.
Yeah, his most recent one was with, we love him, good old Nate Doss. And it sounds like this one was actually recorded prior to him playing this year, because he mentioned that he will be playing a couple events, which he played in two events this year. Really, really neat. And another neat point was he actually shouted out Orangevale, because back when he played, Orangevale, Shady Oaks, was a main stop for the pros. Right. So he did mention that. That was kind of neat. But I like hearing these older players and them relating their experience back then to where it is now. And,
absolutely, yeah.
And how much it's grown, and how they're trying to do their part in making disc golf better. And
check that out.
Yeah, it's super, super cool. I mean, one of the previous ones I think Earhart did was, I think it was last year, was with Climo.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that one was cool. But this most recent one was Nate Doss, so I'm hoping to see more of those come out.
Okay.
And then I want to say there was another one that I totally blanked on, but they do have a lot of neat new series coming out, which is cool.
I like the multiple different aspects of the coverage as well. Like, it's really cool. Like, they've done a lot of work, even during the season of play, during the tour. Yeah. The way that they break it down, and they have the highlight videos and all the extra stuff that goes into it, is super cool and very well done. We'll put it that way. It's come a long ways since, was that 5 years ago even?
Yep.
All of this stuff is just kind of taken up a notch. It's like right there with most of your stuff that you'll see on television in terms of like sports stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's cool. I like it.
The other one I just did, I remembered, I wanted to confirm. Finding the Lines. So it's like creating a course type of series.
Okay. Yeah.
Really, really cool. Go check them out if you haven't. Oh, and you can, don't forget to go, if you don't have Disc Golf Network, they do have 3 tiers still of subscription. One is free. One is $89. I'm gonna get
prices may vary, but there's 3 tiers.
Prices may vary.
Go to the website to check it out.
If you don't have it. Otherwise, like I said, some of these things do populate on their YouTube channel down the road. But if you have the network, then you get them right away. It's always fun to be the first.
That's right.
And then, yeah, I think after that, I mean, we're good. Are you ready for a couple questions?
Hit me with them. Let's do it.
Let's see how.
Not shy with my opinions here, Nick.
No. Okay, so first question.
All right.
Disc golf has grown so much since 2020.
Yeah.
And it seems like we've hit a plateau, right? Do you think this kind of stall in growth is something that's going to be here for 3 years? Do you think it's a short stall? Do you think it's still, because it has dipped a bit? What do you see as the current status, and how long till we see it start to hit a new boom, do you think?
I think there's a couple of things here. So one, I think it's how you're viewing what a stall is, right? Let's think about, a stock ticker, let's say, and you're seeing the prices over time. What happens when you're in the day-to-day view? Oh man, look, there's a huge drop. Oh, and there's a huge climb, and it's plateauing here, but then you zoom out to 30 days and it's not that extreme, right? Maybe overall it's actually up. It hasn't really gone down, but in that day-to-day view, it looks like it was crazy and all over the place and dipping down, or maybe it was flat, but it's different when you zoom out. And that's what I think you kind of have to do when you look at disc golf and we're talking about growth and things like that. You need to zoom out. You can't take a year-to-year view. You kind of need to go 5-year view, right? At least maybe 10-year view. That may be a little too far, but at least 5, right? Because what did we have right in the middle of these last really 5 years, these last couple of years? We had COVID, and that's going to scatter the chart, right? You're going to have a huge influx on a lot of things like that because you can get outdoors and you can play, and people are cooped up inside, and people are watching events and getting more into it because they have the time because can't go to work, right? So you're having all these factors that skew that. So I think data is a little skewed, and it's probably recovering as a result of just kind of moving on from that. So 5 years, maybe not enough in this case, maybe 10 years, but I think we need to look at disc golf and not a year-to-year trend. Is it going up? Is it going down? I think it's probably going up overall because it's getting more and more out there, and we're seeing more courses being built, and things like the Disc Golf Network are kind of helping us get there and spread the word and growing it. So I think overall we are growing it. Are we in a plateau? Yeah, maybe temporarily. Is it on a slight dip? Sure. But then again, let's look at the scale. I think we're kind of trending upwards overall, and I think it'll continue to go there unless something really weird happens, right? I think it'll just continue to go up. In terms of when we zoom in, do I think that the plateau or the little dip is going to be a short or a long-term thing? It's going to be a short-term thing, right? And again, what scale are we talking about? It's going to be short-term. I think overall, when we're looking at the life of the sport and into the future, I'm talking years, decades, right? Yeah. But for the time being, in the short term, yeah, maybe there's a little bit of a dip because of those things that I just talked about, but I don't foresee that being a trend or anything, again, unless something real weird happens.
So I know that the Pro Tour did announce that they do have a deal with CBS Sports, where I think they're going to have 4 events. I think there's 4 events that they're going to be playing, pre-recorded, obviously,
I think you're right.
Events that already happened. How much of an effect, or do you think there's any type of a significant effect that will have on disc golf?
No, I don't think so. If it continues and it becomes a thing, yes. But one-offs, no. And I think maybe that's I don't want to say problem, but I think maybe a very common opinion is that when you see these one-off type of events, these specials that come up, oh my gosh, now it's going to explode. No. If it becomes a thing, then yes. But these one-offs are just that. One-offs. Yeah. Unless it's a continuing trend. And then I think we'll see an impact. And then we can better say, hey, yeah, this is going to really have an impact going into the future because people really love this. Or they really hate it.
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. That's all it is in my mind. They're one-off. Great. Keep them coming. Don't make it a one-off. But
that makes me think about for a long time now. I mean, back when we had the show back in 2013 to 18, we had instances where aces landed on SportsCenter, right? Top 10.
yes.
And they're continuing to do that. They still do that. I almost feel like that even though it's neat to see those on there, it has, at this point, because it's been happening for a while, I feel like those aces, it can't just be an ace. It's got to be a really tricky, unique ace for it to hit that. I love seeing every ace, right?
Sure.
But a very open shot, to me, if you're trying to say that these are top 10 events in sports overall, because that's what the top 10 thing is, it's every
Right.
sport. I think at this point, because we've been seeing them very often, now they need to narrow it down to make it even more of a specific situational ace.
Right. I think
Because I don't
I don't
want
know.
to see it, because
I
if
may-
you see it all the time, it almost gets too common.
But I don't.
You know what
I don't
mean?
think we see it all the time. It's not like the top 10 is every touchdown in football, right?
No.
That's how you score in the game. An ace is, yes, that is a way to score, but it's unique. It doesn't happen all the time. So I don't.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't think it hurts to shoot. Just keep showing.
No, I still enjoy seeing it.
At a certain point of the growth of the sport, I think you're right. I think that they should be selective on which ones they show. But I think right now, any and all won't hurt because it is a special thing. I think
I'd like
people
to
can
see it,
comprehend. Even the layman can go, whoa, that's a pretty cool thing that happened.
Yeah.
Right? Because people aren't calm about it either. It's not like an ace goes in and people are like, yeah, that happened. No, people are losing their minds, right? So it's
Yeah.
an exciting thing to show.
Yeah.
So I think right now, I'm going to disagree with you. I think I don't think it hurts at all. But in the future, absolutely it would, because it's wide
Yeah, I
open
don't-
shot. Who cares? But right now, I think it's okay.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it hurts.
I think it's just for the viewer,
But I
like
think- yeah.
you and I, we're like,
I agree. I see what you're
why are
saying.
you
Yeah.
showing that one?
Yeah.
I get that, but for the lay person or the person that doesn't watch it, that goes, oh, that's cool. Wow, and then they start watching it. That's who that's for.
Yeah,
I think.
True. Okay. So, question 2. Let's move on.
Mhm.
And we've discussed this topic several times, but I'm going to bring it back up because there's a little bit of a twist, a little bit of a update to this.
All right.
Recently, the Pro Tour, at the end of the season, they did these testings, right, on disc golf baskets as to moving forward, how they were going to vet what baskets are allowed on the Pro Tour, which I love.
Yes.
I love the idea that they're going to vet. We discussed this last or couple times. Yes. The question is, how should they be changed? Because we all know that there does need to be something addressed, right? And there's a few things here. I want to give you 3 options, but then, of course, expound on whatever you think. Maybe none of those apply. Maybe there's some other thing, right? One of them, shrinking that space between the top of the basket and the top of the overall basket and the top of the basket on the bottom, right?
Kind of
So
like
instead
your
of there
mouth
being-
to the mic ratio,
yes.
shrinking that distance. Yeah.
Yes. So the opening gap and where the disc can access the chains. Yes.
See what I did there?
Yeah. Should that be thinner? Right? Shrinking that opening. 2, one of the things that was suggested, and I think it was Gannon who mentioned this, Burr, having the inner chains a larger gauge chain to where it softens and it keeps that disc from even reaching the pole for any pole hit spit outs, right? So you have a thinner chain on the outside, you have a denser chain on the inside, and it slows it down, but then the inner chain stops it, basically. The one that I thought about was, why not have, and it could be dual purpose. For me, again, might sound stupid, I don't know, because I just thought this sounded neat. A really dense wrapping foam that's on the inside pole, inside the chains. You could use that as advertisement as well, is what the second purpose would be. But a dense foam, because that way if the disc hits the pole, it absorbs and it's able to drop. I thought that might be a different... I don't know if anybody's thought about that, because like I said, it can be used for advertisement purposes too. What do you think? Do you have any ideas? Other ideas? Or the
so
Marksman.
As I
know the Marksman is the other one, the really just the inner chains.
Yeah,
I'm not the biggest fan of that personally.
I'm of kind of two minds, and the more I think about this, the more kind of my opinion shifts, because I'm all for technology coming in and us trying to figure out better ways to do things when we're talking about sports equipment and things like that, right? And I don't think that the conversation should ever halt on improving the sport and the game and the stuff that we use, the equipment that we use. So I don't want to poo-poo on it too hard. I do think that there is a very valid argument against making it more difficult to putt, right? And have that score happen to reduce these crazy scores that we're seeing now. But at the same time, you don't want to kill it down to a level where it's not fun to participate in or watch, really, is what we're talking about, right? So should adjustments be made? I think we should experiment and try things out and figure out the best way to do things always. Try to maximize, that thing. If we're going to go the route of, well, let's try to improve the basket's technology and hey, yeah, maybe benefit from a little bit of advertisement space. Who does that hurt, right? Yeah, maybe we do those things like foam wrapping and thicker chains on the inside because maybe it's better. Sure. Maybe decreasing the target size, but also adding in those things might be a good option too. I guess what I'm saying is I'm open, I think the more that I think about it, to these types of things. And I don't think the perfect balance has been found yet. So I think talking about these things, and especially on the tour, them going through and evaluating these types of things on what baskets are going to be in the tour is a good thing. And I think they should continue to do that and start narrowing down and defining what this should ultimately be. So, yes. And part of me is like, no, make it impossible, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I want to watch it. And I want to know that when a player throws his or her disc, it's not just going to bounce out because the basket sucks. Right? That's not a good feeling either. And I don't like watching that. And I know the players don't like experiencing that. Right? So do they need to change from where they're at right now? I think so. What's the best version of the basket? What's the best way to do that? What's the ultimate, height of the goal and the thinness and the thick? I don't know. But I think putting more time and effort into that, to discovering what that should be, is a valuable pursuit, and they should keep doing that. So I want to see that happen. What's the best way? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. I guess. Well, there's my answer, non-answer.
The thing I think about there, too, is I was about to go, well, maybe these are just changes or changes to the equipment for the Pro Tour, for the pros. But then I'm thinking about it, and I'm going, what other sports have different equipment for lower tier players? I'm sure there is one.
It depends on what you define, like baseball, right?
Well,
at least until recently, like base sizes used to be different for minor leagues versus major leagues, and there's other examples too. But I think it's okay to have a separation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As long as it's not drastically different. Like, on the Pro Tour, we're just using poles, but disc golf's normally played with baskets.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Right? But as long as it's not egregious and fundamentally shifts the game,
yeah,
I think there could be differences. That's okay.
thinking about it too, I almost feel like maybe when discs spit out a lot of the time, it's usually two reasons. It was high, and it has enough time to come out before it hits the basket, right? Mm-hmm. It gets kicked high and it comes back, or it hits the center pole and it spits out.
And it spits back out.
If you're right or left, that's on the player.
Yes.
It wasn't in the heart, right? It's right or left, that's not applicable. So to me, it's almost as if shrinking that distance, the opening gap, not half to where it's weird, but maybe just to where it's almost like it didn't shrink. Maybe an inch or two, where something's different, but it still looks the same. You know what I mean? Where maybe that little bit of a change can affect the, or make it less likely for those discs to hit high and spit out. And then, like I said, that denser foam on the pole on the inside.
Maybe.
I don't know. It will be interesting because I wouldn't mind seeing, because visuals play a large part in obviously watching things, right? And how you enjoy things, right? Obviously. How will the basket look when you have different thicknesses of chains hanging in that basket?
True.
Will it look? It could very well look better. I haven't seen one yet, but it could look better.
It's interesting.
But I don't know. I think that definitely a combination of things. There are definitely still tweaks that can be made, especially in the putting department, because we know the old heads, right? They like the finesse part of the game. They like that finesse part. You have to be gentle and you have to be putting it into the basket. You're not jamming it in there and the chains do all the work for you. There's definitely an argument there.
There is an argument there. There's food for thought, I guess.
I don't know.
Some more food for thought, really, that you could do is thinking about how you could save a little bit of money while purchasing your disc golf equipment, maybe bags, let's say, for disc golf, by going to Upper Park Disc Golf and using the code DiscGolfShow, all one word. You could save 15% off of your entire purchase. That's a pretty good deal. Coming up on the holiday season, you want to buy a gift, save yourself some money while you do that. Go to Upper Park Disc Golf and use the code DiscGolfShow to save 15% off.
And they got new bags, right?
They did. So if you were lucky and you were paying attention to a couple shows ago, you could have gotten in and used that code and gotten an even cheaper price on the older bags. And now it's like a thing. I have one of the original, the old model, But now they have the new products. So if you want to be fancy out there, on the course, you can do that too and save yourself some money with that code. Check out all of their stuff on their website there at Upper Park Disc Golf. This episode was brought to you in part, at least, by Final Nine Support with their 2 locations. You know where they are. You listened, right? Orangevale, Rockland, right? You listened. Now you know, even if you didn't and you tuned in right now. Now you know. If you'd like to contact us, shoot us an email at theshow@discgolfshow.com and we'll get right back to you. And if you didn't like anything with the show, feel free to send an email to nick@discgolfshow.com because he loves them and that's how he goes to sleep at night, because he uses those as kindling. And that is pretty much it. Marks the end of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to us or watching us on the YouTube there. Feel free to leave us a subscribe if you would be so kind. And remember, in disc golf, as in life, aim high and let it fly.